Almost all games are, to some extent, catered towards the player. The obstacles you face are designed for a player of your skill level and ramp up in difficulty nice and evenly, so it gives you a sense of challenge and improvement while still making it simple enough to beat. They provide obstacles that are fake. I mean, fake in the sense that they can always be overcome, if you just grind enough or get the right upgrade or just spend enough time on it. They do this to make sure it doesn't feel like you're ramming your head into an impassable brick wall over and over and over. Getting Over It with Bennett Foddy defies this convention. If you somehow don't know about this genre-spawning, nightmarish masterpiece of a game, the gameplay revolves around your character, Diogenes, yes, that one, who has inexplicably gotten his lower half stuck in a cauldron and is now attempting to climb a mountain? Using only a sledgehammer and his immense upper body strength. Meanwhile, an Australian man muses philosophically on internet culture in the act of climbing. Oh yeah, and it's really freaking hard. Getting Over It is designed with the express purpose of frustrating and demoralizing the player. The controls are awkward and hard to use on purpose. There are many opportunities to fall and lose hours of progress, and when you fall, Bennett will sometimes chime in and be like, "Oh geez, that really sucks," in the most patronizing way possible, and I swear to God, if I ever find this man, I will thank him, because despite all of this, Getting Over It is one of my favorite games of all time. But why do I enjoy a game that seems to be the antithesis to fun? I mean, if I just wanted to experience the Rage game, it would be a lot easier to just watch Markiplier play it. If I just wanted to see what's at the top, there are a lot of videos spoiling it that I have access to. No. There's something this game has that's special, something that the games in the genre it inspired, while often even harder, never seem to have. Getting Over It isn't difficult or frustrating just for the sake of being so. The game uses frustration as a central mechanic to the game and a plot device for the story, if you can call it that. The game silently reminds you at every turn that quitting would be so easy and you could just move on with your life. Those who spend their time with the game fantasizing about the summit rarely make it all the way. Alva Maho said in his version of the game, "Golfing over it with Alva Maho."
Focusing on the destination will ruin the journey. If you let go of the idea of reaching the top, you will enjoy this game a lot more. It will be a relaxing experience, and falling will be really hard. And if you keep playing, you will eventually get there.
This game is a bitter experience from tip to tail, and I love that about it. I only want the bitterness. It's coffee, it's grapefruit, it's licorice. Once you make it past Orange Hell, the fairly undisputed hardest obstacle in the game, Bennett's monologue gets a lot more intimate. He moves closer to his microphone and speaks just above a whisper. He speaks with an optimism that contrasts his criticism of internet culture in earlier parts of the game. His words feel like true artistic expression, like he knows that I who have made it this far believe in his art, his philosophy, and his world. You kinda have to make it here. And this new world that most players never see, is what Getting Over It is to me. This is what keeps me coming back to master the mountain. A game I have absolutely not mastered is Celeste. Like Getting Over It, it's a platformer that uses a mountain as an allegory for overcoming things, with a large portion of the gameplay loop involving trial and error. What can I say? I have a type. But it deviates in some very interesting places. Major Celeste spoilers ahead. Celeste's protagonist, Madeline, arrives at the base of Celeste Mountain for a particular purpose. She is downtrodden and wants to accomplish something challenging. See, Madeline suffers from various nebulous mental illnesses. She's constantly at war with herself, and the things she needs to overcome within seem insurmountable at the moment. A mountain, on the other hand, seems like better odds. Once you've done the tutorial and crawled your way through the first level, things start to get a little weird. Madeline goes to sleep at a campfire and finds herself in a sort of dream space with walls that look like night skies and a mystical aura in the air. After traversing this scape for a little bit, she encounters a mirror from which a dark, purple version of herself appears and seems to break out. I'll be referring to this character as Badeline from now on. Get it? Because it's like Madeline, but like bad Ellen. Really funny and original, guys. This reflection of Madeline acts as the personification of the negative voice in her head. The first interaction that Madeline and Madeline have, later in this level, Madeline does the whole shtick these parts of us do. You're not a mountain climber. Let's go home. Madeline's own mind is starting to tell her she shouldn't do this, but she pushes onward. After a chase sequence with herself, Madeline starts having a panic attack, and the screen fades to black. This level's chase scene is the first really noticeable example of Celeste's primary method of storytelling, which is as simple as it is genius. When the character feels something in the story, make the player feel the same thing through gameplay. I'm not saying Celeste invented this technique, but I see surprisingly few games implementing it, and I don't think I've seen any other game pull it off this well. In a lot of games, the story happens in the cutscenes and the fun part happens in the gameplay. This separates the game from the story it's telling, gives your players no real agency in the story, and can even make them loathe the story because it prevents them from playing the game. Celeste still has cutscenes, but the fact that the story is playing out allegorically in the gameplay makes the player feel more rooted in the game. Madeline becomes something of a recurring antagonist throughout the rest of the game. She shows up in the hotel and upsets Mr. Oshiro, and she causes Madeline to have a panic attack on the gondola. After Madeline and Theo leave the Mirror Temple, Madeline does something she's never done before. She seeks out and confronts Madeline. Initiating this meeting in the sky, Madeline tells Madeline that she has to get rid of her. She has to let her go. Most people's first idea when they realize they're mentally ill is to try and shut out that part of their mind. This scene screams finality, seems so obvious from a storytelling perspective that this is the end. But parts of you don't just go away when you tell them to. Madeline lashes out at Madeline. Her breathing exercise fails in the face of a seemingly unstoppable, eldritch being as she is cast down to a cave, below where she started. Getting over it doesn't have malicious doppelganger, but it brings out the one that's inside you. The casting down happens as a core part of the gameplay loop, a constant reminder that this mountain isn't designed for you to climb it. It's hard to keep those thoughts out of your head. This game sucks. I suck at video games. You're not a mountain climber. When Madeline manages to pull herself out of the cave, she is met by the old woman who lives on the mountain. She tells Madeline that that part of her is scared, that she needs to talk to her. Madeline pursues herself in a fantastic mirror of the chase scene from earlier. She chases her own mind deeper and deeper into the cave. This is farther down than she's ever been before. The chase continues. Madeline pleads with her until, finally, Madeline gives up. She resigns herself to abandonment, admits that Madeline would be better off without her. As Diogenes falls to the bottom for the umpteenth time, I feel worse off than when I started. I've burned through all the gamer rage in my body and I just feel defeated. But I convince myself to try it again, to not let this mountain beat me. Somehow, I soon realize, my mindset has changed. The game has demoralized me to the point where I've stopped thinking about the summit so much, and now I'm enjoying the journey. I've stopped getting so upset when I fall, and as a result, my falls have become more minor and my recovery times faster. The game was designed for my anger to be a detriment to me, and I can only see that now that I'm not angry. I'm beginning to make real progress now. Madeline consoles Madeline and tells her they need to work together to climb this mountain. Madeline is hesitant, but she comes around, and they finally begin to cooperate. Together, they discover that they can dash twice in a row and can rocket into the air at extreme speeds. Maybe they can still climb this thing. I make it past the cliff face that was a brick wall before, and I feel like I'm making more progress than I ever have. It's still not easy. I spend upwards of 20 minutes on this jump, and I fall every now and then, but I always keep going afterwards. I zoom through what was hours of gameplay before in minutes. Every jump a challenge, but every challenge doable with enough patience. The challenges are still real in that no amount of forward progress is guaranteed, but they don't feel so impossible anymore. Suddenly, I'm in areas I've never seen before. New challenges present themselves and I overcome them. I'm climbing the mountain. Before I know it, I've done it. Bennett waxes poetic and thanks me for playing. Both parts of Madeline share a view of the top. I've reached the summit. I've gotten over it. I didn't realize how much getting over it had meant to me until I played Celeste. It was only when I experienced Madeline's journey that I reframed my beloved mountain of garbage and saw what an impact it had had on me. After I beat getting over it, and even more so now that I've finished Celeste, and Farewell, aren't I cool, I've started to take more agency in my life. I usually never take a tangible lesson from things I play or watch or read, but these games have had a direct, positive impact on my life. They leave me wanting new mountains to climb, so I've started taking more steps towards things I've only dreamed of. They're the reason I've finally decided to try this YouTube thing for real. So if you watched all of this video, genuinely, thank you so much. It means a lot to me. You're helping me climb this new mountain,